Well guys, it's time to come clean. I bought some Bitcoin. And so in this video, I'm gonna explain why and why I believe that you should too. So with all of that being said, let's jump into it. All right, guys, if you're new to the channel, my name's Chandler and I've been investing in real estate for the last 8 years. I currently own over $17 million worth of real estate. And historically, I've been very anti any other kind of investment other than real estate. As a matter of fact, I have a little bit of money tied up in the stock market in an IRA that I put like 7 grand into 5 or 6 years ago. But other than that, every dime of my money has been tied up in real estate or just in cash in the bank until now. As a matter of fact, I just purchased I wouldn't say super substantial amount, but a good chunk of Bitcoin. And in this video, I'm gonna explain why I did it and why I believe that you should as well. I'm also going to explain why I only bought a little bit, but plan on buying more, and how my process worked to get comfortable buying Bitcoin and getting started, because I believe once you've experimented a little bit and you can get your feet wet and you can get comfortable, then it opens the door, 1, to force you to learn more, but 2, just to make the jump so that then you feel more comfortable making that same jump in the future. And I do believe that cryptocurrency is going to be a place where I do house some of my money. Now, not all of it, but some of it. And in this video, I'm gonna help you understand why I feel that way. First off, I wanna start the video by letting you know that cryptocurrency in general, and even Bitcoin, has some major flaws. And one of the biggest ones that I believe is a large flaw is how manipulated it can be by the market, but also by these big whales that come in and play around with billions of dollars and really manipulate the price. Just in the last couple months, you've seen the price of Bitcoin go from over $60,000 per Bitcoin down to close to $30,000 per Bitcoin. It's literally cut in half. And I'll tell you right now, I've never seen a piece of real estate that I've owned and purchased properly lose half of its value in the course of a couple months. And so that's the big thing that's always kept me away from purchasing Bitcoin, because it's terrifying to tie up a ton of money in something that just because someone else chooses to manipulate that market and then it starts to run, it can lose half of its value in the matter of a couple weeks or even a couple days. I also know in the past I've cracked lots of jokes, and I know a lot of other people have, about Bitcoin and about a lot of the crap coins that are out there that are literally Ponzi schemes. And so there's definitely a negative connotation when it comes to cryptocurrency. However, I do believe with things like Bitcoin and Ethereum that they are both investments that long-term are going to be beneficial. And more importantly, they're a place where if you house your money there, it actually has a ton of benefits. And so I'm gonna talk about those in this video and then share with you how much I ended up putting into Ethereum and Bitcoin. Now, I don't pretend to be some Bitcoin genius. I'm just a guy that's done a little bit of research and then put some money in. And so I'm gonna share with you some of the major points as to why I purchased Bitcoin. But if you asked me, I could rail off a couple of these, but I'm just gonna read them because again, I'm going off a couple articles that I've read that I enjoyed, and I'm gonna share what I've learned. However, I am not claiming to be a genius. I would like to know this stuff better, and so that over the course of the next 5 to 10 years, I can look you in the eye and say, man, I know this stuff and I'm confident in it. And I got to the point where I'm comfortable putting some money in and I see a long-term vision, but I'll also share why without a ton of research and understanding, I still felt comfortable making this purchase. First off, Bitcoin is permissionless. Now, when you've got your money in the bank or other areas, you need permission for certain purchases. That's not the case with Bitcoin. Now, this has pros and cons, but what is more free market than Bitcoin? Number 2, Bitcoin is also immune to seizure, which again has its pros and cons, and I understand why with other currencies that might be important. However, it is nice. Once you've got Bitcoin unless someone forcibly gets you to move that Bitcoin. Bitcoin is also censorship resistant. So no one knows how you're spending, no one can control how you're spending. And this is a very valuable thing if you're a drug dealer But it also is valuable because, again, it's free market. You've got this money. No one can tell you what to do with it, how you're using it. And again, that's what opens up the door for some negatives, but also some positives if you want to have your money in a place where no one can touch it, no one can tell you what to do with it. Next, and probably most important, Bitcoin is decentralized. And I wanted to read this to you because I'm not going to try and remember it. But it says the network is distributed globally among many thousands of nodes or computers, the millions of users where you don't have to rely on trusted third parties. Bitcoin has a limited supply. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins created, and they're generated at a predictable rate. Bitcoin is scarce and deflationary. So after we've seen the inflation in our market currently and the government creating tons of new money, making the money that you have lose value, it does seem pretty cool that you could put that money into Bitcoin and have it not lose value. Now, that being said, it also just lost half of its value in the last couple months. So I can see why you might be concerned. However, it is lower right now than it was. And there are lots of people that believe that's going to go up substantially higher. It's really cool to have a money with all of these rules that can't be affected by the government. Now, unfortunately, it still can be affected by governments if they choose to put money in and pull it out and affect the direction it's going. But I do believe once there's so much money in there, and people start using it to make transactions, and it's the safest place for them to house their money, and it doesn't get shut down by governments, which I do believe somewhat there's some risk there. I don't know. There's so much that goes into it. I guess the big picture, I believe in enough to put money in because it's cool to know that my money has this kind of rules to where it can't be touched. And if it does transition to where this becomes the money that everyone uses, just putting in a little money now is going to pay huge dividends in the future. And you're going to want to know how it works. You're going to want to have access to it. And so I reached a point where it's like, hey, if I put some of my money in here, it does make sense because I do believe in it. I think it makes sense. I understand the pros. And there is a big part of me that believes that long term, it's going to become the money that everyone uses. The other thing that's really cool is if you're here or in Japan or in Africa or in wherever, if this becomes the money that everyone's using, that's also a huge benefit, not having to pay the fees and other transaction issues that you have with getting money in different areas. And so I see a ton of upsides to Bitcoin if it goes and ends up becoming the main currency that everyone uses. Another couple points I wanted to mention, I'm just gonna read these off, but Bitcoin is open source, Bitcoin is fast and easy to use, Bitcoin is a push system, and Bitcoin is real money. Like, it's used in a lot of places already, and I see more places continuing to use it or starting to use it. Finally, a lot of people talk about how Bitcoin is freedom. It really gives you the ability to do a lot without having anyone look over your shoulder or tell you how to use it or tell you what you can do with it. And it can be used anywhere. And so seeing this as a global currency is really cool. And I know it comes with a lot of negatives, but I reached the point where I said, you know what? I'm not trying to make a ton of money off of this. I'm not trying to hope that it's going to explode, even though I do think that's a chance. But I just felt like I needed to put money here almost as a reserve fund because you never know. Now, if it gets to the point where I need to use my Bitcoin to survive, we're probably in a real issue anyways, but it just made sense to put a portion of my income into Bitcoin and see what happens. And I've shared with you the reasons. I hope all of you diehard real estate investors aren't upset with me because the majority of my money is always going to be in real estate. But I do think, especially in these dips where Bitcoin is low, I truly believe that long term, it's going to be worth substantially more. And I also believe that I'm going to use it or be able to use it in a lot of places that right now we don't even expect because I've seen the progression of Bitcoin up to this point. Now, again, I know it's on a low, but with it being on a low, why not buy? So I did buy in the dips. I currently have broken up between Ethereum and Bitcoin over $10,000, and that's with it on the low that it's on right now. And I do plan on putting a couple more $1,000s in with any other dips that come. Now, I'm sure a lot of you were hoping that I'd put in 100,000 or 200,000 or something crazy in my mind. For me, it doesn't make sense. I'd rather put that money into real estate because I'm very confident in my ability to find good deals and in this current market. However, buying a couple thousand here or there when the market goes down, especially if it continues to dip, I'm going to continue to buy because buying in the dip I don't see any negatives. That way, if it does continue to go down, I've got hope and faith, and I truly believe after the research that I've done that it's going to go back up. And so as it continues to go down, or if it continues to go down, I'll continue to throw money in and I'll keep you updated. Now, if you're one of those people that's very hesitant, do your research. Don't buy it because I told you to. However, I do believe there is a lot to support the idea that Bitcoin has a bright future. And right now, I do think it's undervalued. And I think a lot of people feel that way, especially seeing where it was valued. Now, at that time, I believe it was a little overvalued, but why not throw some in and see what happens? So that's my advice to you, which is terrible investing advice. Why not throw some in and see what happens? But if you do have some money that you don't care about, you've got money sitting around and inflation is going crazy, what do you stand to lose if you've got a couple $1,000 that you could put in, get comfortable with it? Because once you put money in, I came to find it forced me to research even more. And the more I researched and the more that it dropped, the more that I bought. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you remember to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the little bell. However, if you want me to stay in my lane of real estate, I'm going to continue to do that. But this is something I felt comfortable sharing with you guys. Good luck with whatever you decide to do. Don't buy Bitcoin because I told you to, but if you enjoyed this video, smash the like button, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the future videos where my goal is to help you to build a huge passive income. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.